DorkLair.
Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mythic Legions Magnus. Another figure from the Arethyr wave. Magnus is a member of the Red Shield Army, and thus the Army of Leodysseus. He's sort of Hadriana's right-hand man, lieutenant of the Red Shield, and he's supposed to possess immense strength, almost the same strength as Leodysseus himself. So pretty epic character. We've got a 1.0 knight, essentially, but we have that new torso that's shared with Vorthog, the orc, and of course the skirt as well that's shared with Vorthog, but it has a different little piece on the front. Other than that, pretty much a 1.0 knight, but obviously the highlight of this figure, if I had to pick a highlight, is this epic head sculpt. And I do have a few issues with my figure, as others have had, but for the most part, I think this is an awesome figure. If I didn't have those issues, this could potentially be a contender for my number one of the wave, and I know a lot of people do consider this their favorite of the wave, so definitely a highlight figure. So let's get into this review. Starting off, we have the standard Mythic Legions packaging, regular box. It's like a clamshell that's reclosable. We have his bio on the side. Again, you can check out all the bios on Source Horsmen. The Mythic checklist is an epic checklist. And of course, we have Nate Barch's Arethyr art on the back, list of the figures from the wave. And on this side, we have the Army of Leodysseus. All right, next up, let's take a look at the close-up details on this guy, starting with this fabulous, magnificent, epic, robust, profound, if you will, head sculpt. Look at this man. I do unfortunately have a little bit of a paint issue on my head sculpt. So if you can get up close to the eye and look under his eyelid, there was a black splotch right there, a very dark black splotch. And I've been trying to scrape it away here and there with a toothpick, but I'm afraid I might be making it worse. So a little issue there. It's so small that like when I'm looking at it when I'm not looking at it through a lens or a photo, I barely even notice it, but it's there. And I'm worried that I'm kind of like, I don't know, making his eye become blurry almost by scraping away at it. So I'm pretty much just going to leave it as is. It's fine. Other than that, it is a very detailed head sculpt. I mean, look at all the intricate sculpting throughout the beard and that really epic mustache. Take a look at the head sculpt from behind. It's a great head. It's a great addition, and I'm glad they're starting to do more like unhelmeted heads. For a while there, we were getting a lot of figures that didn't have, they were just like masked or helmeted or whatever, a lot of the same reuse, but hopefully they'll continue giving us unique heads like this. It just adds so much character and flavor to the line. Moving down into the body area, again, we have a lot of the same knight parts. The knight arms, like the original knight arms, the original knight legs, skirt piece that's painted with the checker that matches Hadriana. But the torso is new. So this torso is the same torso as Vorthog, and the skirt is new as well. Same skirt as Vorthog. But Vorthog has a different little emblem on the front. So they have a little modularity going on when they produce this skirt. So they can add different little accents to change it up, which is very cool. I really like the way they are able to kind of keep things fresh by adding just a slight little bit of variance to their pieces. And of course, the way they paint them is a huge deal too. I love the weathering on this guy. Same thing as Vorthog. It's just this very subtle wash that gives it this very realistic, weathered kind of look to it. And bringing in a little bit of contrast to the figure are these black and red shoulder pauldrons tying it together with the gold accents. Very nicely painted. It's just a great way of taking a familiar piece that's been on a whole bunch of figures and just changing it up and making it stand out. Got the soft rubbery sort of vinyl skirt piece that we've seen on a lot of figures, sort of like the tabard piece. And this one's got that checker. There's a name for that kind of pattern that I think I learned in like Game of Thrones or something, but I can't remember it. But yeah, so checkered sort of pattern. It's not checkered though. But like a lot of people, and this is where I think the common QC issue has been coming in, I did have the wet paint skirt. So a lot of these figures came with the skirt still sort of wet and the paint was still wet. It was like this black wash that was all kind of sticky and tacky, and you could rub it off and it would come off on your fingers and stuff. And so the email that went out said dab it. So I took like a Q-tip and I just sort of like went through and dabbed, and I kept doing that and then letting it dry for a little while and dabbing again and letting it dry. And as you can see, like over here, for example, the dabbing sort of pulled some of the black off, and there's a few little errors over here now because of it. But overall, like, it's not, I mean, I could easily touch that up with some black. And I kind of wonder if I had left it, because even after the dabbing, I still had some wet. And now it's pretty much dry. I don't think it's wet at all anymore, but it's been a few months. So I don't know, like, if you had this figure from the get-go and you didn't do anything to it, let me know in the comments. Did yours dry out just from doing nothing, or is it still wet? Very curious to know that. And then looking down at the legs, a little bit of wash on that gold to bring out the sculpt that we are so familiar with at this point on these knight legs. And here's a quick look at Magnus's overall silhouette so you can get a general sense of how he looks as a whole figure. Here he is from the left side, Magnus from the back, the right side, and back around to the front. And next up, for some size comparisons, see how he looks next to some other figures. I have a whole bunch of stuff on the table here, so I get a lot, so we'll see like your tolerance level for these comparisons. First up, we have some figures also from the wave. On the left is Arethyr himself, and on the right is Belphegor. Next up, his fellow Red Shield buddies, the Red Shield soldier on the left, and Hadriana, his boss, on the right. A couple other knight-style figures from Mythic Legions. On the left is Vorgus Vormilius, and on the right is a kit-bashed knight. Next up, a couple figures that I feel are kind of nicely in scale with Mythic Legions. On the left is the movie realization Samurai Kylo Ren, and on the right is the Masters of the Universe classic Super 7 Skeletor from the movie. And finally, a couple other lines. On the left, we have a Mezco 112 Collective Rumble Society Pink Skull, and on the right is a G.I. Joe classified Viper. For accessories, he comes with this alternate head sculpt, the sort of bucket knight head that a lot of figures come with, and it's a great option if you want to kind of like just make him a generic knight almost, or maybe army build him a little bit. And he's got that black plume along with it. The head sculpt is painted just as detailed and sort of weathered as the rest of the body, so it's a fantastic look. He's got one of my favorite weapons, and that is the smaller battle axe. I love this. It's got that He-Man vibe to it, you know, like that, almost like you could single-hand wield this thing. Very detailed paintwork on here, between the scroll work of the decoration on the blade, and then you have that really finely detailed handle right there. I love this weapon. It came with like the Knight's Weapons pack, and then, you know, maybe like one or two other characters. There's a much different version of it that comes with Thalen Frostbow, again, a testament to their ability to take an item and just repaint it and have it become a completely different piece. The other weapon he comes with is this curved blade, and also nicely detailed, as you can see with the way the handle is painted. And the Red Shield soldier has his red shield, this nice black detail around the edge, and then you have some gold and red. Nice flat red to contrast with the shinier gold. So pretty good looking shield right there. And of course he does come with the usual assortment of little bits and pieces for adapters and attachments. And last but not least, we have the articulation, and I did remove a couple bits and pieces just so that you can see things a little bit better, but be aware that those little pieces might hinder things a little bit. Not too much, though, with this particular character. The head sculpt is on a ball joint, and it can rock and turn and twist all around. The arms swing around. You can bring the arms up quite a bit on the side there. This new torso does allow for a little bit more range across the chest there, but I do think the unarmored arms come across easier, so something like Vorthog might be slightly better there across the chest. Single jointed elbows. This is, not even 90 degrees, so probably one of the weaker aspects of Mythic Legion's articulation. There is a twist at the elbow, and then there's a twist at the gauntlet. You can hinge the wrist horizontally, and you can twist the hand as well. Ball joint at the waist. He can crunch forward, he can crunch backwards. You can get a little gap going when you sort of pose him, but you can move the skirt as well and kind of fill that space up as you need. His legs can go out into the splits, and he can kick forward. Just be aware when you're kicking, this skirt can come out. It's, ported into the pelvis essentially, and you can kick that skirt out if you're not careful. You can see how it pegs in right there. There's a twist at the top of the thigh, single jointed knees, twist at the bottom of the knee. You can rock the ankles, and they can point his foot down, and he can point it up, and they twist as well. So standard Mythic Legions articulation. Fantastic figure. Again, I did have some QC issues with mine. Nothing too crazy, but I know, people, they want their figures right. They want to have no issues at all, and that's unfortunate. And that's probably why Magnus is not, he's probably not my top 3 of the wave. He definitely would be if it weren't for any of the QC issues. Anyway, thanks for watching my review, and until next time, may the Force be with you.